Podcasting from Woodstock, Georgia, welcome to Soul Solutions, a show where we overcome our fears and our limiting beliefs. I'm your host, author, and certified life coach, Terry Kozlowski. Episode 8. No one knows enough to be a pessimist. My husband commented this past weekend that he seems to have become more cynical as he's gotten older. It seems to sneak up on us based on what we've experienced. The hope that people will be kind erodes over time, especially now. But as we approach life with more caution, we allow our egoic mind to take control of our thinking, making us more bitter. The ego knows nothing about our future. Therefore, it doesn't know enough to turn us into cynical pessimists. When we react negatively to a situation, it's based on an adverse emotional reaction. We may feel vulnerable, let down, or disappointed. We're allowing the egoic mind to indulge in judgmental attitudes. We aren't accepting what is. We want a different outcome than what we have. When we're cynical, we become defensive. Many people associate cynicism with pragmatism, but expecting a negative outcome isn't being practical. It's attracting into your life something we don't want. Why do that? Where does the negative attitudes come from? Most of our cynicism arises from our past. The critical attitude we see when we are children shapes how we react. When we are hurt, disrespected, or vulnerable, it can trigger this defense mechanism. Yes, cynicism, pessimism, and sarcasm are all defense mechanisms we use to help us deal with uncomfortable circumstances. When we feel disrespected, we take a darker view of our fellow human beings. For example, a coworker gets a promotion even though our boss told us we were next to receive the advancement. Now our ego begins a scenario in our minds that the coworker outmaneuvered us from getting what we deserved. So now we react negatively at work. We become short-tempered and less supportive of our coworkers and disrespectful to our boss. We base our reactions on the past. The ego doesn't know much. It only knows the past and only how it remembers the past. Therefore, it doesn't know anyone's intentions, nor does it know the future. So the cynical attitude is a reaction to the past, not the present. How does cynicism hurt us financially? Being a pessimist is noxious. It robs us of our happiness because we anticipate disappointment everywhere we turn. So the ego keeps us from dreaming and hoping. It doesn't allow us to try new things. It keeps us stagnant. Cynics are less trusting, less confident, and sicklier. Pessimism is very limiting. Thus, most naysayers make less money and have less advancement in their careers than an optimist. They have put themselves at a disadvantage because they are less likely to ask for help or pursue opportunities when they arise. Cynics make compromises that may not be in their best interest because they assume others have malicious motives. Pessimistic people don't rely on others because they are suspicious of their intentions. This cycle of low income can increase the cynicism we feel and keep us bound in the egoic mind. We are not allowing ourselves to rise above the negativity, therefore perpetuating the skepticism we have towards life. How does pessimism hurt our relationships? When we're cynical, it means we complain to others. We react sarcastically to people. We are thus causing others to avoid us. Who wants to be around a negative Nelly? I certainly don't. I want to keep my positive outlook and my happiness. I give no one the power to take away my peace. It's hard to deal with the pessimists and overcome their dark clouds, even if we're optimists. So we avoid the cynic, and they keep their distance from us so they don't form meaningful connections with others. If they think we have ill intentions, they won't welcome us into their lives. And if a cynic has relationships, they're challenging to maintain. We try to deal with the barrage of negativity while the pessimist always thinks we will harm them. Eventually, the relationship will fail and the parties will go their separate ways because they can't deal with the other's behaviors. How does negativity hurt us physically? Cynical people are less healthy than optimists. We know that negative emotions cause metabolic, hormonal, and immunological issues. It causes a higher risk of heart attacks and strokes. Many pessimistic people have unhealthy habits like smoking, drinking, unhealthy eating, which increase their risk of disease. Again, this forms a cycle for which the pessimist feels terrible and causes more negativity in the body. Negative people are 3 times more likely to develop dementia. The amount of stress that a cynic inflicts on themselves because of believing others' motives are malicious is high. It's not surprising that pessimists are more susceptible to depression. It disconnects cynics from any hope, thus leading to feelings of helplessness. Sometimes it is a defense mechanism to keep them from getting hurt based on past experiences, but it only spirals them further down, away from the relief of the negativity and further into being cynical about everything. How does cynicism hurt us emotionally? If we are looking at life through such a negative lens, we tend to turn the disapproval inward. We allow the egoic voice to overtake the soul's whispers. We begin to feel unworthy. We believe that we aren't good enough. The harsh self-judgment gets projected onto the world around us. The destructive attitudes create a negative filter through which we perceive our environment. When we look through the dark lens, we miss out on the joy in our life. We don't see the love that surrounds us because we're focused on the darkness. We perceive the world with an us versus them mentality. Sarcasm is a negative language of the pessimist. It allows a cynic to feel a false sense of power. It's a passive-aggressive way to bully another person. Being sarcastic is a way to be mean. It shows contempt for another by trying to be humorous. By perpetuating a cynical attitude, we block any light from getting into our environment. We can't see any hope. We feel disempowered to change the future. So we can see how being cynical can hurt us financially, relationally, physically, and emotionally. How do we stop this negative mindset from continuing to harm us? Be aware of your cynicism. Once we become aware of an issue, we can overcome it. Acknowledging the negative mindset is the first step in changing our attitude. When we accept what is, when we see the pessimism come out of us, we can allow it to pass. When we recognize that we focus on the darkness, we can begin to look for the light. The simple act of looking for another perspective is life-changing. It allows hope to re-enter our lives and opens us up for happiness and peace. Be compassionate with ourselves because we stumble and allow the old patterns of behavior to creep in, and that's okay. We are learning to look for options, and this is a new process for us. Growth in any form can cause discomfort, but we can overcome it. Embrace optimism. Smile. Be more optimistic. Be interested in others. Yes, we can pretend our way at the beginning as we become more accustomed to our new positive attitude. By doing so, we recognize that people we meet are essential in some way, and we can benefit from one another. Even though it's easier for the egoic mind to focus on negativity than uplifting ideas, be aware of this fact can help us refocus our minds. Our ego is doing what it's created to do, look for danger. But it's skewed and not giving us the full picture. Look for the positive in your life. When we become aware of the negative thought, allow the light to shine on the circumstances so we can look for an alternative perspective. The more we focus on the positive, the more optimism we see. Be grateful. Practicing gratitude is a beautiful way to see the good life provides us each and every day. It effectively blocks out cynical attitude. It's hard to be a pessimist when you see how wonderful life is. Every morning I journal to Spirit. It's time where I reflect on all I'm thankful for and what I want to accomplish this day. I'm thankful for the big things and the small things. Safe travels, the well-being of my adult children, my cup of tea in the morning, the time with Mother Nature. Thankfulness is a wonderful tool that lets us see the peace that exists in our lives. It's a way for us to show and feel the love that surrounds us each day. By starting each day by being grateful, we allow ourselves to begin the day with an optimistic outlook, thereby attracting more positivity into our lives. Mindfulness helps limit cynicism. When we are mindful, we stay in the present moment where we can see and accept what is. We aren't anxious about the future or depressed about the past. By living fully in this moment, negativity naturally slips away because right now, this moment, all is well. In this present moment, we can allow hope into our lives. Mindfulness allows us to recognize any negativity and let it pass. We can take a deep breath in. Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Release the breath. Count to 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And realize that we are calm. We can breathe easily. The simple breathing technique provides oxygen to our bodies and naturally relaxes us. Holding our breath or shallow breathing causes tension, and we aren't even aware that we're doing it. So stop every so often and breathe. Restore your internal rhythm and let peace flow into the moment. Be cognizant of others' energies. Are the people you hang around with positive or negative? Do they lift us up or bring us down? We need to be aware of the energy that others bring into our lives because they influence our outlook on life. If we spend our time with pessimists, then we see the negativity in life. However, when we hang out with optimists, we see more positive aspects of our lives. Sometimes we outgrow people. This means not everyone will be in our lives forever, and that's okay. Occasionally, they come to help us for a time, or we help them for a time. But we have to learn to let relationships fade away for our own good. Spend time with those who lift you up and encourage your dreams. Keep in mind that social media and the news can harm us because these media sources focus on negativity. Instead, choose only to post encouraging messages. Don't perpetuate the negative and cause more harm for yourselves and others. It's one thing to know what's going on in the world. It's another to allow the news to create an adverse emotional reaction because we allow it to fuel our egoic minds. Did you know creativity curbs cynicism? When we are creative, when we are playful, when we are curious, we open ourselves up and connect with spirit. These are the times that we're in a magical state of flow, when we lose track of time. Singing our favorite song when it comes on the radio, drawing a picture, or exercising. These are ways we can allow our creativity to keep us in an encouraging place. We are all creative. Some of us know it, and others, someone has crushed your spirit. I love to paint, but I had an art teacher who told me I wasn't good enough to be an artist. I believed her for over 30 years, but she was wrong. I am creative. I am an artist. Maybe not up to her standards, but who is she to squelch my creativity? As I took up painting again, it opened me up to writing. That led me to write my memoir, to create a blog, and to start the Soul Solutions podcast. We are all creative in our own unique way. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Be authentic. Pessimism grows from the fear and pain of our past. So we put a mask on that we call cynicism. When we hide our true selves from others, we become disconnected and we allow the ego to fuel our fears. We have to see the way fear disguises itself in our lives. We need to remove the mask and become more of our authentic selves. Authenticity means that we allow the light within us to shine. We focus on our strengths and surround ourselves with like-minded individuals. By following our hearts and listening to the soul's voice, we overcome the fear that the ego uses to keep us small. Accept what is and change what we can for the better. It's empowering to realize that we have choices and options. We can stay in the dark or open the curtains and let the light shine in and change our perception. How to move forward beyond cynicism to optimism. Yes, bad things happen, and we can't control everything. But being cynical is a choice. Choosing to be a pessimist causes damage to all aspects of our lives. We lose money, relationships, our physical and mental well-being. Why? Because we believe the ego's lies that we are in danger and that others have mean intentions. So for us to stay safe and gain some control in our lives, we become cynical. But we can see that our pessimism is causing us great unhappiness. So to change this, we need to change our attitude. We can see by watching the world around us that people are still falling in love. Children are laughing and having fun despite the negativity on the news. People are succeeding in their endeavors. In spite of everything, strangers are still helping one another. Creatives are still making art. Life goes on whether we're focusing on the darkness or the light. So why not look for the positive aspects of life and allow ourselves to be happy? We choose the lens we look through. We have the option to see the positive instead of the negative. I choose to be an optimist because the ego lies and it doesn't know enough to be cynical. As we become more conscious of our cynicism, we can learn to change our negative mindset and allow peace and happiness into our lives. Do you need support to help you change your cynical nature? Do you want a strategy to help you overcome the ego's limiting beliefs and live a successful life? If so, please reach out to me at terrykozlowski.com and we can put together an action plan for you to create the life you desire. Please join us next week as we discuss how laughter can stop the hurting. Thanks for listening to Soul Solutions with Terry Kozlowski. If you'd like the show and want to learn more, check out terrykozlowski.com where you can find the links to everything we talked about in this episode. Please subscribe to the show so you'll never miss an episode as we overcome our fears and our limiting beliefs.